Hello Longview, Strongview. It's my honor to speak with you today for my 6th State of the City address. Like everything else about this year, 2020, this year's presentation is not business as usual. Rather than gathering together with business leaders and community members in person during the Chamber of Commerce quarterly luncheon, I recorded today's address from here at City Hall. If you asked me last year, I never would have guessed that I would have started this year's speech with a virtual welcome. What an unprecedented year 2020 has been. Obviously, I wish the circumstances were different. I wish COVID-19 had not made the words social distancing and virtual meeting become so commonplace in everyday lives right now. Like all of us, I wish the difficulties of this past year had not occurred. It was a year of health difficulties and economic hardships, underscored by political divisiveness, yet it was also a year in which the strength of the City of Longview and our community was on display. So today, I want to discuss both. I want to acknowledge both the pain and progress of this past year. I want to talk to you about how I believe we're moving forward together as a community. It may be hard to remember now, but 2020 actually started with a lot of optimism and excitement. We kicked off the year in January with our 3rd annual Gogiver Gala, raising more than $200,000 towards the improvement of Highway 80 in Teague Park, while also recognizing honorees with a legacy of giving to the community. Rather than commending individuals like we did during the first 2 years of the event, in 2020 the Gogiver honorees were Longview businesses that promoted giving as part of their company's culture. I want to take a moment to just publicly thank those honorees once again for their examples of service. Thank you Horanis, Infinity Plus Magazine, Peter Chevrolet, and Texas Bank and Trust. Thank you for doing business here and for giving back. There are countless other businesses making an impact in Longview throughout community service. And I thank you all for your commitment to making Longview a better place to live. We're currently making plans for the 2021 Gogiver Gala, and we look forward to continuing the tradition of honoring those who demonstrate lives of service. We began 2020 with a grand plan for a citywide celebration of Longview's sesquicentennial. Community groups, churches, and businesses came together to plan unique celebrations as Longview turned 150 years old. Before COVID-19 sidetracked all the planning, we were thankfully able to kick off our celebration right. The Junior League hosted an incredible sesquicentennial ball that showcased Longview's history and featured a surprise visit from Governor Greg Abbott, who lived in Longview as a child. Thanks to the leadership of Gregg County Historical Museum, we've seen beautiful painted balloon sculptures popping up all across the community. Also, the Longview Museum of Fine Arts curated a special exhibit of local artists featuring historic Longview landmarks. Since so many of the plans were derailed in 2020, we're extending the celebration to 2021. As you may know, Longview was founded in 1870 when O.H. Methven provided 100 acres to create a town along the new railroad. But it was actually in May of 1871 that Longview was officially incorporated as a city. So, in a way, it's still fine, the whole idea of Longview's 150th birthday. I want to thank all those who have been involved in the planning efforts and hope you will continue to choose to participate in the celebrations that are still to come in 2021. As you know, COVID-19 has upended all sense of normalcy. In January, the World Health Organization announced the presence of a novel coronavirus causing an outbreak in China. By January 21st, the first confirmed case was reported in the U.S., and on March 4th, the first confirmed case appeared in Texas. On March 9th, we had the first known case in Gregg County, which also happened to be the start of spring break. I communicated at that time with our local superintendents and encouraged them to extend spring break. Leadership from the city, county, and hospitals began meeting to coordinate the response of our community. On March 24th, with one confirmed case at the time, Gregg County Judge Bill Stout and I announced a voluntary shelter-in-place that would become mandatory if there were any additional cases. Just a few days later, our local case count had grown to 3, and the mandatory shelter-in-place order went into effect. I truly believe this early prevention measure was important to slow the spread of the virus in our community and save countless lives. On March 31st, Governor Greg Abbott closed schools and established a statewide restriction. At the end of March, we had 6 cases. That number grew slowly but steadily throughout April, May, and beyond. While we've all had some level of impact from COVID, sadly, several individuals in Longview and the surrounding areas experienced the ultimate loss. The first death in Longview occurred on May the 2nd. By the end of July, we had more than 900 cases and 15 deaths. As the end of October has come around, Longview has recorded more than 2,700 cases and 37 deaths. I offer my sincere condolences for those families who have lost loved ones during this crisis. People ask me daily, what are my thoughts about COVID restrictions? Where do we stand now and moving forward? This is what I know. To have any impact on the virus, we have to do the things that work. We need to practice social distancing, avoid large groups, wear a mask, and wash our hands regularly. In fact, we're still under the order of the governor, his executive order to wear a mask and follow social distancing. We do not get to break the law just because we don't like the law. The governor set guidelines for how various types of businesses, organizations, and events can operate. And as mayor, it is my duty to follow and implement those guidelines locally. Know that the restrictions have been in place for a while now and that our human nature is to start to become complacent or decrease our standards. However, I think we all must continue to follow the governor's orders for the safety and health of our residents now more than ever. I would like to say thank you to our local healthcare community. Between our two major hospitals, we have 650 total beds and 50 ventilators available in Longview, and around 10 to 15% of those beds are occupied with COVID patients. To put that in perspective, the state requires that we maintain at least 25% occupancy or capacity for our COVID patients at all times. Thank you to the nurses, doctors, first responders, all you all that have put out countless hours. Thank you to the aides, technicians, and customer service workers. Thank you to our firefighters who conducted testing at every nursing home in the county. Thank you to the staff who helped stand up COVID testing and sites across Longview. Thank you for the care you provided during times of great stress. Thank you for the sacrifices you have made. Thank you for preparing, learning, and responding. Longview, we are strong together. Beyond health, many individuals have been impacted by unemployment, reduction in pay, and other forms of economic loss. In Longview, our unemployment rate was a near historic low at 4.1% in February. Our unemployment jumped to 12.2% by May. Those aren't just numbers. Those are real lives and families that experience the economic stress in their homes. Yet, I am thankful that our local economy wasn't impacted as drastically as other portions of the country, and now appear to have rebounded to a degree. We have seen some people go back to work, but we are certainly not back to where we were pre-COVID. As of September, Longview's unemployment rate was 9%, which is similar to the unemployment rate for the state of Texas. I realize we're not out of the woods for our local economy. During this time, many businesses have experienced significant loss. Some businesses have had to close their doors. Other businesses were fortunate enough to have the resources to adapt and survive. I commend our local business community for your grit and determination during this year. It has not been easy for any of us. When the world's economy slumped this year, the City of Longview had to make adjustments as well. As you probably know, the city has three primary sources of revenue: property tax, sales tax, and fees for service. Between those, we were projecting to lose about $4 million to our general fund within this fiscal year. So we immediately took steps to cut expenses. We instituted a hiring freeze for all non-public safety positions. We paused projects and cut spending. We were also aided by the CARES Act funding, which helped bridge our gap for critical services like our fire department and transit services. As a city government, we have so far been able to weather the storm because we continue to take steps to reduce our expenditures, and we have sufficient reserves to be able to cover losses in the near term in case recovery is slower than anticipated. I want to thank City Manager Keith Bonds and the City of Longview staff for their diligence in this effort. We could not do this without such a wonderful city staff. City services have continued to function and adapt to the circumstances. I especially want to congratulate the Longview Police Department for hosting and graduating the first ever class of the Longview Police Academy. When Gogiver College postponed their academy due to the pandemic, the Longview PD conducted their own academy, preparing new cadets to protect and serve in Longview. Thank you to the police department and all your hard work. And while we did have to pause some projects that were within the regular city budget, we have been able to continue to make progress on others that were funded by the November 2018 bond election. During the past 2 years, a lot of design and engineering work has taken place in the background to prepare projects for construction, and now we have begun to see progress rolling forward on budget. The City Council just approved the construction for a new police station, which will be located across South Street from the existing station. The project should take about 2 years to complete. It will be an incredible improvement of the cramped and outdated existing facility that we currently house our police department in. Construction and renovation of Fire Station 5 is underway, which will greatly improve the capabilities of the station serving West Longview. Several park projects are happening across the city, most with expected completion by the end of 2021. At Lear Park, crews are currently working to add 2 baseball fields, 2 softball fields, and convert 2 soccer fields to artificial turf. A major renovation is taking place at Stamper Park, where the unsightly rail cars used for fire training have been removed. The park will be transformed with new athletic fields, more parking, and several other upgrades. The renovation of Broughton Recreation Center in Broughton Park is expected to begin in early 2021. Often a centerpiece of activities in southeast Longview, the facility will receive a major expansion to the recreation center, an extension of the trail, new features of the splash pad, and other upgrades. Within the next year, though, upgrades are also in store for McWhorter Park, Patterson Park, and Spring Creek Park. Construction crews are also making great progress on the Guthrie Trail extension, which will connect Paul G. Foreman Trail to the Cargill Long Park Trail. We appreciate everyone's patience while we slow down traffic as crews tunnel under Judson Road and McCann Road. In result, though, is going to be a wonderful feature for Longview, and I again want to thank LEEDCO and the Texas Department of Transportation for funding this trail project that's going to be so instrumental in growing Longview and moving us forward. We also have a new skate park located at Ingram Park thanks to the work of passionate volunteer Brian Dodson. Community donations and a matching contribution to the City of Longview. That's going to be an awesome addition to our park system. While the city has been making progress on projects, we've also seen growth taking place in the community in spite of difficulties presented by 2020. I was very impressed with the adaptation that businesses and schools made to adjust practices to meet the public health requirements caused by COVID. All 4 of our local school superintendents banded together to look out for the safety of both their students and staff and their respective school districts. I appreciate their strength and cohesiveness as educational leaders. It shows the strength of our education system in Longview. We saw restaurants and retail adjust to drive-through and curbside pickup. We saw businesses shift services to a greater presence online. I heard from several businesses that were able to utilize the federal stimulus funds to keep their employees on the payroll. I heard from companies that were making accommodations to spread out their employees within the workplace, switching to work from home accommodations or splitting shifts of critical employees to protect the health of our community and the well-being of their businesses. What ingenious ways we have found to just deal with this virus. I know that the profit and revenues from this year have been impacted for almost all of us. I applaud our business leaders for your resilience and for taking these steps to keep your businesses moving forward. We will win this battle. I also want to congratulate those who have pursued plans to expand operations or even open new ventures this year. Companies like Aon Coil, which is investing $28 million in Longview through a 400,000 square foot expansion, bringing 135 new jobs. Keep Right Refrigeration, located just outside the Longview city limits, adding 57,000 square feet and 15 new jobs. And Komatsu, which is doing a very large expansion of their operations. I'm also thrilled about brand new investment in our community from Sparklight, which is investing millions of dollars in a citywide fiber optic network to provide high-speed internet for businesses and residents throughout Longview. I've also been happy to see the small business investments, including many new businesses downtown within the last year, like Wild Honey Creamery, Lumberjack's Axe Throwing, Books and Barrels, Blush Salon, Little Light Pediatric Therapy, Landmark Social, and the Lab on Center, just to name a few. I've also been very encouraged by the amount of support and caring this community has shown for one another. From the beginning, we've seen people going above and beyond to support local businesses. I've loved seeing the Strong View signs and t-shirts all over town. The campaign was a brilliant creation of global graphics. If you haven't seen them, the t-shirts feature the Strong View statement on the front and the logo of partnering businesses and organizations on the back. If you don't have one, you should get one. Speaking of support, I'd like to thank Juicy's Hamburger, Juicy's Taco, and T. Blancos for their generous donation to provide a fireworks display on 4th of July. They originally had to cancel the show due to budget concerns, but the donation allowed us to provide a safe driving experience for the community to enjoy, and we thank them very much. As it turned out, drive-through experiences became the hallmark of our community, continuing to come together in the midst of hardships. We saw churches provide drive-in worship services. The Arboretum had a drive-in concert. The mall hosted drive-in movies. We even had a Lantana Car Wash hosting a drive-through haunted car wash. I want to especially thank those organizations who help one another by drive-through acts of service, like the newly formed community group One Love Longview, which distributes food and supplies to people in need, like the East Texas Food Bank, the Longview Rotary Club for providing fresh produce to thousands, or like the Thanksgiving Food Drive, which will occur later this month. We've also seen drive-by birthdays and graduation celebrations for people stuck at home. Ingenuity is driving our town, and I love it. My personal favorite was the Hooray for Heroes drive-by parade at City Hall with hundreds of cars saying thanks and providing support for our public safety employees in the police and fire departments because they deserve all the support we can give them. They put their lives on the line every day for us, and we thank you. This year's been an especially difficult year for our men and women serving in public safety. We've relied on them to be engaged in the efforts to combat coronavirus. At the same time, we've seen protests across the nation about the nature and practice of policing. I want to recognize our Longview Police Department for how they have responded to the concerns and protests here. First, let me say that I fully support the rights of individuals to peacefully protest and express their ideas for making our government and services better. Freedom of speech is crucial to a functioning democracy, and we encourage it every day. I commend our police chief and police department for taking the opportunity to speak with and engage those locally calling for national reforms. I appreciate Chief Bishop speaking with protesters gathering at the Longview Police Department and participating in thoughtful discussion, such as with the Union and Diversity Committee and the local NAACP chapter. I also appreciate the officers who remained calm and de-escalated the situation when they encountered verbally combative individuals during a traffic stop that went viral on social media. They showed great restraint and great training. However, we must not assume that any community, including ours, is immune from potential problems of violence or abuse. We must continue to be willing to self-evaluate what we're doing as a community and as a government and seek to build bridges through conversations, relationships, and actions. I'm grateful for individuals and groups like the Union Diversity Committee who for years have sought to do just that. I also commend the work of the diverse group of community volunteers working on the 1919 Longview Remembrance Project. Their effort seeks to provide remembrance and reconciliation of the horrific Longview race riots a century ago. As the rancor of the last several years of national politics has proven, we have divisions and disagreements within this country that can pull us apart. Locally, we must continue to find ways to pull us together with unity and respect for the intrinsic and equal value we each hold. We may not always agree how to get there, but let's start by acknowledging where we seek common ground. It's so important to love each other regardless if you disagree at times. For me as mayor, that begins with making our community better across the board, across the council districts, across the arbitrary boundaries of north, south, east, or west Longview. We must continue to address problems through municipal government where we can on issues such as infrastructure, parks, and public safety, so we can continue to promote and help a culture in which private investment, development, and redevelopment are encouraged across our community. Since 2015, my goal has been to create a sense of one Longview. It's not just a slogan, it's not just something to say, it's what I think we must do, have been doing, and need to continue to get better at doing every single day. I appreciate the opportunity to serve as the mayor of the town I have called my home my whole life. I'm coming to the end of my second term and have every intention of running for a third and final term next year. It's been my honor to serve you, and I look forward to continued opportunities to serve our community. Together, let's strive with unity and respect for one another to make Longview a better place for all who call our corner of East Texas home. Thank you so much, and God bless.